where we could be socially distant, but be in the same room. I'm just finding that some meetings work much better that way than they do on Zoom. My finance committee, as an example. You also had your spreadsheet on the agenda for today, didn't you, Mike?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And did I get a different one from you earlier? Or is this the same one that I get?
You got an earlier version.
Okay.
The one that I sent around more recently, I gave it a new name. I gave it a number because I figured it'll go through multiple versions.
Oh, yes.
And the big difference is I added some notes to indicate where information was coming from.
Okay.
I don't think there's any new information and any new numbers on there from what I shared with you.
Was that stuff that I sent you helpful to add to that? Or was that not what you were looking for? Remember what I sent?
I'm trying to, I think it was helpful. It's one of the things that I need, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it was. You sent me the minimum contribution information.
I did.
And that's actually
The minimum contribution, and I sent you assessments. Minimum contributions for I've forgotten how many years, and the assessment for each town that went along with that. What I didn't know on those documents was the total budget.
right. Okay. And
I also sent you census information, grade wise, and
okay. Let me look for those then.
okay.
To be honest, I've had other things on my mind too.
What's the matter with us? This is supposed to be right.
I know that the minimum contribution, there's sort of an issue with minimum contribution because that comes from the state,
Right.
and typically districts use the figure that comes out with the House budget at the end of January, but that's never the final version.
Right.
But the final version isn't known until towns have already had their town meetings and voted the assessments.
Yep.
So what the question is, what number do we use? And
Well, I think we ought to use whatever the town paid their assessment on. I mean, if this.
Okay. Well, that's something we should discuss then.
Right.
Okay. Because I did not do that, and my reasoning was that in order to kind of understand how the whole assessment related to the minimum contribution, I was using the final spreadsheet from DESE, which had the final minimum contribution. So it just kind of changes what the difference between what the minimum contribution is versus what the extra contribution is.
Well, but if the district uses the original, the January number, then the additional contribution required from each town is based on that.
Yes.
And that number doesn't change, even though the minimum contribution would change. If the minimum contribution required went up or down, it doesn't change the additional assessment up or down.
Right. But then when the state goes and does the next year, it compares to previous year for Chapter 70 and also minimum contribution. And it's looking at the final figures when it does that.
So it's affecting.
We can talk about it. You make a good point.
We might need both.
Yeah. In which case it might become an issue. I think this is where your suggestion, if we were all in one room with a spreadsheet projected somehow,
yeah,
it would be a lot easier to be talking about this.
Right. Even if we all had the spreadsheet on our computers, you know,
Right,
you can't very well be on, well, I can, because I got 2 computers going here, but
right.
um,
Well, still, it's nice. It's nice. I think I'm thinking that we might be able to use the public safety complex in Montague. That's a reasonably large room, and they have a projector.
our town hall meeting room, it can handle 10 people and distanced with everybody at a table. It would be a matter of choosing a time when we could do that and getting them to agree to let us come in and that they would set it up for us. That's just a one option.
Okay.
The other question then becomes, do we want to wait until we get more members on the committee, or should we be diving ahead with what we've got?
Well, I think it wouldn't hurt to wait for more members. And also, I'm wondering. I mean, I would kind of like to see what the consultants come up with. I'm pretty convinced that we're going to want more than what they give us, and we're going to have to do some digging on our own to come up with that. But I'd like to see what we get from them, because you know, rather than make assumptions about what that is.
Well, right, and we don't want to dig for stuff that maybe they're going to give us.
Exactly. That's what I would like to avoid. So, I mean, I started putting that spreadsheet together as kind of an example of what I would like to see. I've asked for a number of those things from the consultants. You know, I'm going to go out on a limb and bet that we don't get all of them in their final report, but we might. We might.
I know one of the things you mentioned was where do the choice students go?
Yes.
And I had one report that showed for each grade level where our choice students went. I only found that for 1 year, but they have to turn those numbers into the state. Right.
Well, the state has a place where I found the aggregate numbers, not by grade.
Yeah.
For students coming in and students going out for each year, going back. I mean, you can go back as far as the state has information, but I went back to fiscal 2015.
That should be far enough, shouldn't it? 5 years.
So that I actually was able to put that in there. But that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons I want to have this on the agenda is to have people be thinking about it, and in particular not be thinking that this is something that I'm doing and everybody else is just, you know, I mean, this is if other people want to chime in with suggestions and contributions and whatever, and even say we should really maybe think about going in a different direction. How does this look?
Right. Why do we want this piece of information? What's its value? And what other pieces should we be looking for?
Right. So that was my goal for today, was just to say, I've been working on this, let everybody know that that's what I'm doing. I'd already kind of clued Jane in because we've been talking about getting information, but Lynn hadn't seen it yet and David hadn't seen it yet.
And I'm just starting to go through it. It's I like how you set it up in terms of how it flows with the enrollment assessments and then required local contributions. So I just need to be able to go through. It's nice. It's very handy information to have.
Well, that's what I was hoping.
Yeah,
and,
it is. It's very good.
So I think, I mean, so the sort of to be continued.
Yep.
I have a quick question. We have a new superintendent in Montague. Our previous superintendent was so supportive and so knowledgeable. And I'm wondering if anybody has heard anything from this new superintendent, or if we're going to. It seems that he might have a useful place.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely has a useful place. I think Alan and I even talked about this today. Part of what's going on is that I think he's just getting up to speed in terms of the new job. He really only came on in mid-June with a transition with Michael Sullivan for a couple of weeks. And my guess is he's pretty swamped right now with trying to get the reopening scenarios. They got to come up with 3 different scenarios for the district in terms of, full opening with students in classes, a hybrid program, and then a fully remote program. And that's a lot of sort of undertaking for a new superintendent. So I'm sure he's pretty swamped with that right now. And this is, I'm sure he'll be interested in what we're doing, but we'll probably reach out. We'll reach out to him soon. We even brought that up, that we'll reach out to him soon, but I can imagine that he is having to wrap his mind around a lot of things right now.
Okay.
Well, I think that's true for both superintendents, that
Yep.
they're swamped right now. And when we get back to whatever's going to be our new normal schedule, I think we need to extend in specific invitations to both of them to participate in these meetings.
Yeah, and I think the looking out into the on the horizon, I think it's going to be difficult for us to have any kind of public meeting for a while. So this is a good time for us to be able to dive down into the report that the consultants are going to give us, and that's why I think this what Mike has done here is going to be very handy, because it allows us to compare numbers very quickly. So thanks, Mike, for doing that. This is a very nice, handy set of spreadsheets to be able to reference when looking at the report.
Okay. Okay.
So I think that was it for the agenda, unless people have anything else.
Okay. We'll hear from
So
you.
are we comfortable saying we will not plan another meeting until after we've gotten the draft report from the consultant?
Yes.
I'm okay with that. I think it's going to be coming pretty soon, so I don't think we'll have to wait that long. The question will be, I would wait till after we do the first full board meeting, which, like I said, hopefully won't take too long to get to that point. I'm hoping they'll be in touch with us in the next week or two, and then we can set up a full board meeting and then go into committee meetings.
Are you saying go into committee meetings the same night, or set up committee meetings?
No, I would say let's wait till, I think it's important for us to let the consultants basically finish their job, which is to, give us whether it's their assumptions. We don't have to agree with everything they put in the report. But
No, they're going to give us the draft, and then we're going to make grammatical corrections and text corrections.
Correct. Well, or clarify any ambiguities if there's, anything that needs to be clarified. I think, what Mike's talking about is going after that. We can be in our committees. We can find those kind of things to send back to the consultants. But eventually, when that public meeting comes, that's really up to us what we present. We don't have to present the consultant's report. We can include it as this is the consultant's report, and we made changes to it, changes to the assumption because we felt that those changes were needed. We can clarify how we want to message parts of the report. So I think that's pretty open. I think the consultants will be there so that they can answer any questions in regard to their report. But I think, I agree with you, Jane. We have to take the lead on that.
Okay.
So hopefully that puts us all on the same page.
Hope so.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Well, I can't make a motion to adjourn, so I'm not on the board on your committee.
Okay, I see one from Lynn. Jane, you want to second that?
Yes. Second.
Okay. Motion's been made. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Opposed? Unanimous.
All right. So, and
Right.
Mike, I'll share these videos with you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Greg.
Okay.
Okay. And thanks everybody for coming today.
Yep.
Yes, Mike, thanks for doing the minutes.
And,
Absolutely.
and
Lynn,
thank,
we'll talk him into it next time too.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for the spreadsheets.
Don't bet on it, Jane. Don't bet on it.
All right. Have a good week.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye.